teacher at the school says there's a focus problem. And for the last couple of years, they've been saying my child's got a problem with the focus and their concentration is undermining their potential. And yet, I don't see that at home. This is something I must have been hearing for the last couple of weeks. And, you know, in a way, I see it both sides, from parents as well as teachers. You know, as a parent, when a teacher approaches you with a problem, sometimes it can be like a bolt out of the blue. It is a shock. It really is something that knocks your self-confidence as a parent when you're not expecting it. When you think things are going so amazingly well, you haven't seen it. You don't really even experience it at home. And yet the teacher approaches you and says, look, you know, I really think we need to look at the focus problems. They turn around and say to you, you know, since the beginning of the year, I've been watching things and I've been giving your child a bit of chance to, in a period to settle down. You know, it takes time in the beginning of the year to settle down. And yet, things have persisted. And you know, your child is now sitting right in front of me. And yet, they still won't focus. They're moving, they're fidgeting, they want to get up and about, they want to go to the toilet. They're looking outside the window, they're talking, they're constantly looking for attention from other children. They're having difficulty finishing their work. I've got to keep asking them to get back and do their work, keep reminding them. I've got to bring them back on task all the time. And yet, you know, parents, they can't believe it. And my goodness, that is something I hear absolutely almost daily when I do assessments. So, you know, from the teacher's point of view, what they're seeing is a child that is not performing well according to their potential. And often it is when a child is behaving in a way that is so different from the rest of the class, according to the same age and the same sex of the child. You know, in 20 years, I've yet to see a teacher who really had it out for a child, who had an agenda, you know, that was kind of had a purposeful ulterior motive to target a child. Teachers don't go into the profession to collect salaries, I'm sure. You know, I don't think you can pay a teacher enough money to do what they're doing. And now in the first wave, second wave, and now with the third wave, children at home, we start to really get to grips and appreciate what a teacher does every day for our children. And in my opinion, of course, this is only in my opinion, when I hear and get a referral from a teacher or I see a report from a teacher with concerns, my goodness, I wake up. I take it seriously. And I try to help parents understand that this is something that must be taken seriously. The category of children that really confuse parents, you know, children that don't have particular behavior problems, that don't have that impulsive, emotional dysregulation, have difficulty, they don't annoy, they don't interrupt, they don't fight, they don't hit, they don't have behavior problems. Often these are children that are easygoing children. These are children sometimes that are the ADHD without the H, ADD, not the hyperactivity. They don't annoy. So those are the kids that parents don't see the problem. They tend to be problems at school when that your child has to sit, listen and do big groups. They've got to do tasks that they won't have to do at home. And remember also, there are a lot of parents that do so much for their kids. There are children that they're their only children. They don't have other siblings, so parents don't have anybody to compare them to. And there are sometimes parents that are very structured. They have they run a tight ship, as it were. They are very structured. And those children have alarms, they wake up, they get organized. So maybe they don't see those problems at school when they're outside of that structure. Some parents have nannies that do everything for them. Wake them up, dress them, bath them, do everything, brush their teeth, dress. So, I mean, in the end of the day, a child's not necessarily going to display any problem of self-control or problems because everything's done for them. Those are the children that really battle when they go to school. Sometimes when parents do every single thing. I've heard of stories where parents have picked a child up out of a bed at the age of 10, literally carried the child to the toilet, put them down, and wiped their bottom afterwards. I mean, how on earth is that child going to be able to function at school on their own if they have all those things done for them? But then I understand from the parent's point of view. Because the parent is desperate. Unless they do those things, it's a fight, it's a conflict. So they end up doing those things so that everybody can get to school, get to work in some sort of harmony without, a third world war. So I do see those things. And when a child's younger, you don't see those things because they don't have to do a lot. They don't have expectations. So these are problems when a parent doesn't see the problem at home, then it is a shock. And just recently I've done some assessments where parents have literally not wanted to even try and consider or conceive that their child has a problem at school. And, these are completely confusing things. And that's my job. For 20 years, I listen. My job is collecting pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. So hopefully, at the beginning part of assessment, parents bring me a box with lots of pieces. And those are the assessments that they've filled in, teachers' reports, information from other therapists, and then during the assessment, talking to the child, hearing from the parents. And I'm actually blown away sometimes when I have a little chat to children on their own and I ask them why they're there. And, unbelievably, they are able to, within a few sentences, tell me exactly what the problem is. I have difficulty concentrating. I look outside the window. I think about what I'm going to be doing at break, what I'm going to be doing at home. I've got there's a party I'm going to go to, and I'm thinking about, what present I'm going to get my friend. I think about healthy cupcakes. Those are children that have absolutely a very busy mind, and yet you don't see it because it's all beneath the hood, as it were. Those children that are impulsive, busy, both you see it at home and at school. So really, when a teacher approaches you and has concerns, honestly, don't be reactive. Don't think that this is something that is some conspiracy to drug your child and put your child on medication unnecessarily. That is not the case. Every single teacher in 20 years that I've ever come into contact with, and there's some strict teachers, very strict teachers, those teachers often want the best for your child. And it's a process, it's a process that we all need to contribute. Often the diagnosis of ADHD and learning problems is a very safe diagnosis because there's so many people saying the same things, teachers from different years, lots of therapists. My job is to put these pieces together, to create this big kind of high definition resolution picture of the problem. And we use international rating scales. They're not just random questions. Assessments and information, it's a gathering of information. It's very important to get both parents' opinion. And remember, this is a journey. Sometimes parents don't see it and they need some time to kind of explore, to understand. It's not so much as a steamrolling effect and forcing parents into a decision. But when you hear the information from a school, and particularly in Durban, we have amazing schools. In fact, I think that is the biggest strength of KZN, the tradition of good schools. And teachers are people that are there because they like dealing with kids. Teachers and pediatricians, we're in the same business. We're there because we have an affinity and we want the best for your child. So when you have information, think about it talk to the teachers, engage with the teachers, and you'd be amazed, when you look at all the evidence from the educational psychologist, speech therapist, occupational therapist, those people as tutors. And it's difficult sometimes for a teacher often to, broach the subject because sometimes it's sensitive. But, if you open up and you connect, you'd be amazed how that teacher was probably about to discuss something with you. And when you show that you kind of are receptive, they will share more. And I hope that helps clear up how important it is to communicate and not necessarily be reactive when you hear and there's feedback from the teacher.